Nikhil says this line, it doesn't make sense. Indian company doing Western wear, legacy and profitable, bootstrapped and then racing.
Zara was one of our biggest buyers. Omnichannel is the way to go.
Where is it that most of the sales come from?
Offline.
How has House of Rare managed to position itself as this premium brand?
A lot of people said, no, it's very intimidating to enter your store because it looks too premium. One mistake would be putting in too much inventory.
What do you think will be the biggest innovations and disruptions in the fashion industry in the next 5 years?
This is a very tricky question and answer. I'll be very honest.
Okay, Akshika, welcome to Starting From Scratch. It's great to have you here and learn from you. In my research, I read about Radhamani textiles, but we were having a brief conversation earlier and you touched upon that your family also comes from the textile background. What does it take for going from a legacy family brands to setting up a small business? Can you give me a little bit of history on both what the earlier generation sort of set up?
It's a very interesting story that we've had. So me personally, I come from a textile background as well. My grandfather was a trader. My dad started exports, mainly to the US. So I've lived and breathed fabric all my life. And then I got married. Again, happens to be a textile family and a very similar history.
Yeah.
Then my husband started exports. And I think you know that Zara was one of our biggest buyers. That was a very interesting story as well. From exports, we realized that you can cater to India. India is huge. And because we were one of the few exporters who were selling our own designs, so it was more like a mood board or a thought given to us. Mm-hmm. We would create the designs and garments and the customers would buy it. And then the idea was, why not bring this fashion to India? Because India was ripe and it was ready to embrace fashion.
How did you go from that idea to product on Rareism?
So idea came from the fact that I was always shopping abroad. There were one or two brands which were making Western wear, but I couldn't buy my wardrobe from there. And because, like I said, we have a base, we have the understanding, I was trying to fill a market gap where I could find clothes which would take me from morning. You know how life is. You're wearing so many hats and you want to declutter your mind. So I was like, I want to offer simpler clothes. I look at my cupboard, I wear it. If I have to go for an evening out for a catch up or a dinner, I can go from office directly. I don't have to come back. And that was the whole point of Rareism. And even if today you go, of course, we've introduced a little bit of more fancier and party lines and all of that, which needs to come in as you grow. But the fundamental start for Rareism was dress to dinner. And so that's
functional.
Very functional, versatile, easy to switch the mode without changing your clothes.
Right. That's I mean, it's a blessing, to be honest. Where is it that most of the sales come from?
You mean what channel is?
Yes.
Offline.
Offline is where most of
Yeah. But it's not that different. So our offline to online mix would be 60-40. Offline being 60 and this being 40.
And from that
and
40
that's a conscious
online
call. I could make my sales online very high, but then you're burning more. So you have to decide what your balance you want it to be.
So you're saying that the customer acquisition cost is higher online?
Yes.
Understood. And this 40% that's coming from online, how is this split between direct and other platforms?
Again, 60-40. So 60 is our own website and 40 is marketplace.
Interesting. So along with the offline presence, the other thing is the very, very strong omnichannel presence that you have, right? So I think offline obviously also gets sort of accounted into it, but can you speak a little to that in terms of setting up an omnichannel presence and how important that is for a brand?
So omnichannel, in my opinion, helps you a lot with inventory management, right? Now the thing, you can have certain products which are only available online, but you're able to churn your inventory so much better if all your stores are connected to the website. So if there's something here and you're buying it there and the store has extra, send it there first. Also, the fulfillment happens much faster. So that's where the omnichannel strategy began with this thought. Yeah.
I've never thought of it that way. I've always thought of it as just more places to sell and more marketing, etc., etc. But this is such a a builder problem to have, right? Usually you are sitting on inventory and there is a average cycle that is there, and that cycle number you're trying to bring down in some sense, right?
Yeah. That's what
Wow.
I personally think omnichannel is the way to go. It cuts down a lot of your warehouse spaces, and your store is churning out faster. So
Brilliant. I was listening to WTF, which is what Nikhil hosts, and Manish was on it. Right. And there was a line that stood out to me where Nikhil says this line by starting and saying, it doesn't make sense. It just didn't make sense to me because this is a company that was doing, an Indian company doing Western wear legacy, right? And profitable, bootstrapped, and then raising. Because a lot of them are raising while they're still sort of accumulating losses, and but why did you decide to raise?
So, there were lots of thoughts about it. We hadn't thought of raising. It kind of started happening to us organically. People wanted to invest in us. So it was the other way around, and which was interesting. And we were like, oh, really? Should we? And how is it going to help? So both of us had these conversations in depth. And what raising helps us is, I'll be very honest, this, right? So of course, your product, your brand is already out there, but 2-3 things that I would say raising helps you is being more spoken about. Another thing, very like-minded, and it's very important to get the right people on the right pedigree of investors, because I would really, really insist on that if I have to ever tell anybody. So who you're raising with, and what do they bring to the table. And people who've invested, luckily for us, are all either very smart minds or very growth, but in a very healthy growth mindset people. So our main investors, A91, it's a fund, and brilliant minds again. They are they're very hand in hand with you, rather than pushing you for something that your grain is against. They don't go against the grain. So they know, they're very smart like that, because they know that you've grown your business till this point and you know best what's there. But what can we do together to put certain methodologies, certain systems to have a more sustainable growth? So we've been very happy so far, and I'm sure that it's going to be a great partnership ahead. Nikhil was very interesting. Why? Because we loved what he's doing. A young guy, built Zerodha was something that I started learning my investing in the stock market from Zerodha, because I said I want to do it. I don't want my wealth manager to do it. I want to learn it step by step. So I was there. So Nikhil was, because of his journey and his disruptive mindset. We got Manyavar because, again, they've built, but they were in the Indian segment. So it was a very different learning from there, but they're from the retail. So it helps. So these when you get people who you can ideate with, have a, casual discussion, it becomes much more healthier.
I think more set of brains solving for a similar problem and not pushing.
Yeah. Not only solving problems, it's also about how do you make it larger, right? How do you expand in different areas? Yeah.
And the other one, I think what was interesting was also what you said about perception, right? Like as a funded startup, almost, it also gives you that there is a perception edge that comes at the end of the day. And I think it's great. Post-raising, does the focus on profitability come down? And why I'm asking this is sometimes the new mantra is grow and figure everything else later, right? So does the profitability quotient sort of come down a little bit? And I mean, not saying that it's a bad thing, but is that what happens?
So a lot of people, yes, but not with us. Okay. Because for us, it's very easy to grow with a high burn rate. But I think if you really want to have a long-term vision, please don't lose sight of profitability.
That's great advice.
Yeah.
Especially in 2025, I feel it's a very necessary advice. So when I compare Rareism or Rare Rabbit in general, I end up comparing it with the Zaras and the H&Ms of the world. And I wanted to check, is that perception happening psychologically in my head? I'm sure there's a lot of things you're doing, right? But is it majorly owing to the very, very strong offline presence that you've set up?
Okay, so offline presence definitely, I think, owes to the fact that it gives us the feeler of being an omnipresent brand. In my opinion, having an offline brand which is available in all your cities helps you to understand the brand quality, assurance. Yes, it's there. And then having the freedom to shop online gives the customer a lot of comfort. Now, today if I had to shop a new brand online, which I don't know either from somebody and there's been an experience, you kind of hesitate a little, right? Like it could be what is the quality going to be like? What's the return policy? So I would say, I think helped us a lot by having an offline presence and complemented by the online presence.
Absolutely. I think personally, I'm an offline shopper because I cannot buy anything without just feeling it first. Right. So I think it just really helps to have that presence. If you see a lot of the Indian stores, they're usually very empty. Right? Even if they do break offline, they don't find success there because that experience design hasn't been thought of. And why I'm pointing at this is because I remember reading in my research somewhere that there's a particular perfume that you use in the stores which is gotten from Spain. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
We didn't get it from Spain.
Okay.
So I'm sorry, I'll just say we smelled some thousand smells. And whatever we kind of liked and we put it together, and that's what we do put in our stores. And it's common throughout all our stores that we have, even in our office, because we want to breathe that feeling, right, that we're in our space. And the minute, so it's very important, so you can go, you can shop, you can have your products put in a place. So I'll start from the store. The store design, what we wanted to do was, it was like a blank canvas. That's why you'll find a lot of white, a lot of simple furniture or whatever the design layouts are. The garments have to speak out. Now, if you have a very over-designed, different kind of lightings, you don't know what you're looking at. So one important factor for us is the white canvas, and then let your clothes be the highlights and the art. The second thing is, when you enter a store and you have all your senses engaged, you're fully there. So that immersive experience that you speak about is very important for a customer to feel like, hey, let me spend a little bit more time here. From, I think, our smell to the hearing senses to, I can't do taste, but yeah, the taste can come out of the customer experience. We spend a lot of our time with our store managers in training, in understanding, giving them the freedom to engage with us, what they want. So there's a very two-way relationship. So which is why I think that's what the customer feels. It doesn't necessarily have to see, but you feel the small details are the most important details.
Absolutely. Do you also play the same music? Like, is it similar? Yeah? Oh, that's brilliant. So smell is one. And I think that's such an interesting, intricate one, because I know that if there's a perfume that I've put as a kid, like 10 standard Axe Deo, if I smell it, I'm still back in 10 standard.
Right. So the recall value helps a lot there.
Yes. So playlist is also similar, is what
absolutely. Identical.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
How has House of Rare managed to position itself as this premium brand?
So, this is a very tricky question and answer. Why tricky? Because I remember when we were starting off and we wanted to focus on really premium stores, premium experience, very personal experience with the stores, with the customers, from the store managers and the store team. A lot of people said, no, it's very intimidating to enter your store because it looks too premium. And a lot of feedback was from the market that people are worried to enter, because not scared, but worried that, no, ye to bahut mehenga hoga. But slowly, that perception started changing and say, because we are competitive, we're very competitive pricing at a, great premium offering. So now people love it. So the premiumization, I think, happened through that. Even though we were pretty competitive, it was a very premium experience. So it went hand in hand.
And I'm sure there's some design that's going into it, right? Like, I'm sure there's a room of you all sitting and brainstorming saying, how are we going to position this as a premium brand? Can you give any insights from that room if we were in? What are we hearing?
So you're hearing from every step. What is your product? Is it premium at the right prices? It has to be premium. So quality, your design, all of that has to be premium. Your prices has to be fair. And then your store experience has to be premium. So when all of that is premium and your customer is happy to walk in, you are a premium brand.
I think what stands out to be the most from the entire thing is there is also the risk of being too premium.
Yeah, there was. But then, if you just hold on to that and your right marketing, your right content creation, and slowly it's a slightly slow start, but then it picks up saying, hey, it's a great store and the prices aren't so high. So the trick is pretty good, I think, in my
Brilliant. Yeah, I think it's very nicely done. In your opinion, what do you think will be the biggest innovations and disruptions in the fashion industry in the next 5 years?
So, I know it's a very generic answer and everybody's saying it AI. AI is such a tool. If you really embrace it in the areas that you need it most from the beginning, and you start innovating with content, your design philosophy and your design process, and then of course the data, and then how it can be built in, because data is king, right? Like, you really must follow your data and study it closely. So I would say AI.
Can I dig deeper? Like, on the realm of AI, what is Rareism doing currently? Can you tell me segments, departments?
Yes. So one is, I'll start with the shoot. It's not AI shoots, right? You shoot on real model, but how can you enhance it with AI? Then your design is, again, it is from the humans and it's from the minds and from the customer data and customer feedback. But then how can you make that process a little bit more faster? And also, a lot of wastage gets reduced by using AI. So you've got your design, you've done your entire collection, thoughts and all of that. Rather than making samples, there are AI tools available which help you see how it'll look on a body versus making the garment which kind of goes in, the non-sustainable way. So that's one area when I say design and shoots. Then you have your... there's so much creativity that you can do. It's mind-boggling. It's fantastic. You should see some of our new content, which is AI enhanced, I would say, never generated, but yeah. Then we use it in our buying and merchandise planning, because there's so many tools you can build to have a lot of automation there, as in, this is what I need, and these are the guardrails I want to put, and these are the processes I want. And then the minds of the people who are actually allocating or planning becomes so much better. So, otherwise it's very like you've 150 stores, and this store will get this much, and the replenishments and all of that. So there again, your automation and AI helps a lot. These are the main areas that we're using it at the moment. But it's going to build, and don't go everything into AI at the same time, because that becomes, even in the people using it don't know how to use it. I mean, I wouldn't know how to use it. So when you go step by step, recognizing what is it, it can help you the most, then you go the next step, and then you take the next step. It then integrates in a more logical.
Absolutely. I think ultimately it should enhance the experience of the final customer, right? I keep saying this, you can use all of the tools that you want, but ultimately the final product matters. It shouldn't look like, oh, this is AI.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That's the
and
point.
not only that, not only customer, even for the teams, because there's a lot that happens. So when you kind of get certain answers faster, they're able to concentrate more on things that they can innovate in their space or better, how do I say it? Just use your mind in a more productive manner versus quantitative manner. Yeah. So it's a lot of quality versus quantity when it comes to the use of AI.
If you had to suggest podcasts, books for somebody who's into this industry and starting up today?
Books, I'm a reader. So a lot of books. One of the recent ones I read was by Jim Collins, Good to Great, because I think there are lots of companies, and it's a very interesting time I read it, because it speaks about how you can reach a certain level, but then to break out and sustain yourself and long-term vision, what it has to do. So I would definitely suggest Good to Great. And one of my very favorite books is The Difficulty of Being Good. It is a book by Guru Charan Das, who's an economist, and it actually takes all the characters of the Mahabharata and brings it so beautifully into how one can run business through their learnings. So I would recommend that book. It's a little bit of like a very deep read. You need a lot of time and patience, but it is so good.
What is one mistake you think that young founders who enter the fashion and retail space make and nobody talks about it enough?
One mistake would be putting in too much inventory, because you think that you can sell that much, but no, be very conscious of that. Have a very strict growth plan, and because it's very easy to burn. It's very easy to get excited about the fact that, hey, this is selling, let me put more, let me burn more, let me do more performance marketing. As important as performance marketing is, it's very important to be cognizant of the fact that if you overdo it, you don't know where your next chunk is coming from if you don't have some great funding. Even with great funding, it's very important to be cognizant. So, yeah, I think one of the main important things is your drawing board of step-by-step allocation of your funds. And the second is inventory.
Thank you so much for being a part of this, Akshika. This was such a pleasure. There was so much that I've learned. Can't wait to do this sometime again.
Wonderful. I was happy to be here. Thank you very much.